BXB. It's in the game!
Hey guys, it's me Ben, back with another one of my quick video reviews, and this time I'm looking at Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which I actually got a code for, I have to admit, towards the end of last year. But due to it being the silly season of games, big releases, AAA, and us only being a small team, I'll admit my coverage did fall through the cracks a little bit. It was discussed a bit on one of the Bits and Bobs podcasts back then, but I didn't get a real good time to actually delve deeply into the game and produce a formal review. So with the release that's just happened this last week of the Broken Alliance DLC, I thought I'd go back and revisit Battlestar Galactica Deadlock with this integrated DLC package, because frankly this game is amazingly cool if you are a fan of the Battlestar Galactica universe. Now, it's been quite a few years since BSG was on TV, but I'll readily admit playing this made me go and pull out my Blu-rays or check it out on Amazon Video, which is available in the UK at least, to watch some of that seminal sci-fi television. It's still amazing, and I highly recommend you do that. And this game does a great job of setting you authentically within that world and that universe. It might not be a direct interpretation of the TV show, but it does a great job of really delving into the first Cylon War, the Cylon War that brought us the original Battlestars and the original Vipers and things to that effect. So there's loads of ships that feel authentic to the TV show and really ground you in that reality, that grim, gritty reality of humans striving to fight and defeat the Cylons. And with that new DLC, which is Broken Alliance, that's integrated into the main game. Sadly, that means if you have an existing campaign of many turns, you're going to have to start it all over again to get the 8 new missions and the several new ships that are being brought in with this DLC. But it is worth it as a really interesting narrative twist to that campaign, with the idea of human factions also becoming your enemies. And as you're seeing here from the video that is playing, BSG Deadlock is predominantly a sort of turn-based RTS in which you control ships in space combat by maneuvering them within their firing arcs and giving them various orders, and then basically you sort of let that turn play out in real time. So you give them orders, you watch what happens, and then the feedback comes back as they interact with the enemy ships, and then you make adjustments and you do it all over again. In addition to that, there's a top-level strategy element in which you control your fleet dispositions, in which you choose where they are deployed within the Helios system of solar systems, where the humans are set up to fight the Cylons. You're doing things like resource management, you're doing things like building ships and training officers, and then you're sort of creating new fleet groups to send around this solar systems to protect against the Cylon invasion. This is also where predominantly the story is going to be developed and told to you through nice bits of voice acting, if not full cutscenes. That also happens within Mission, and it does a really good job of bringing you in to the world. I found it super engaging and exciting. I am an RTS gamer of old, strategy fan, be it turn-based or real-time, and I really enjoyed the way the story was delivered and how it mixed in with the gameplay. Obviously, you're predominantly going to be spending your time in that ship management view. You're going to be looking at sometimes very complex furballs that really convey the sense of chaos that can happen in a space combat situation. And you got Viper squadrons flying all over the place to different targets. You've got capital ships dancing around trying to get their best firing solutions and targeting vectors, as you know, you're trying to also dodge just flying into each other. More than once in that chaos of battle, I have given orders that have resulted in impacts between capital ships that usually, and I think probably every time, end up with the destruction of both ships. Now, that is a kind of suicide tactic you could employ from a valid sort of standpoint. However, for me, it usually meant it was an accidental piece of orders that then got a bunch of people killed, and you feel those losses. Something that's been brought in with title updates to Deadlock is that you can now carry across the damage you have received in previous missions to subsequent missions. Before this update, basically when you beat a mission and moved on to the next, your ships would all be back to full health and full standings. However, now if you want that full Battlestar realism, just like in the TV show, if your ships have taken a bunch of damage and if they haven't actively been repaired, you will be carrying that forward into the next missions. I thought that was a really interesting twist that makes the game even harder if you want lots of extreme realism and a real challenging thing. Now, I haven't talked about potentially the coolest element of Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. and its expansion Broken Alliance. When you finish the fight, all your turns and stuff, and you finally go through all that combat, you get the option to watch a replay of it in real time, and this is so cool. Basically what it is you can see all those turns come together in a cinematic presentation, very reminiscent of the TV show, with music very similar to what was produced by Bear McCreary for the TV show as well, with camera angles that you remember, like stuck on the side of Vipers as it dives in, doing those smash zooms and quick turns to follow missiles as they track across space into the enemy. It feels just like watching the awesome fights from the TV show, and I always watch the replay, and it always surprises you as well, especially if you're spending lots of time thinking about the strategy in each one of your turns and how you're going to be deploying your units, how long a battle can take with those pauses every time as you give minute little order changes and different firing solutions for the capital ships. But then you watch the replay and the thing rattles through in a minute and a half, and it's just this ballet of destruction and agony as you take losses and deal massive amounts of damage to the enemy. I absolutely love it. To be honest, I really enjoyed Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. This is a cool game with a lot of depth, and there aren't really many games quite like this available on the Xbox. It's obviously been produced by Slytherin, who do a great job with these types of in-depth simulations of combat, and I can't wait to see what more they do. It's super cool, and because of all of that, I'm going to give Battlestar Galactica Deadlock and its expansion content Broken Alliance 4 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.